We are excited to be launching our next podcast series, which is interviewing Golden Hoodie winners from around the world who've got amazing Trailblazer stories. A Golden Hoodie winner is somebody that Salesforce has recognised as being a true Trailblazer, somebody who gives back but also is an expert in their domain. And we can't wait to share these stories with you. Tune in, listen, and be inspired at these amazing stories and give them kudos on social media for everything they've done. And what I would recommend is definitely tune in and follow in their footsteps. Enjoy, and we look forward to getting your feedback.
If your leadership team is pushing you to deploy Agent Force yesterday, you already know the real challenge isn't the AI itself, it's the environment you're building it on. To orchestrate autonomous workflows, you need to feed your agents deep, flawless context about your metadata and business processes. That's why Hubble created the intelligence layer. We give you total operational clarity, telling you exactly how to clean up and structure your org so your AI actually works. Stop guessing. Build Agent Force with absolute confidence at hubble.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mums on Cloud9 podcast. I'm delighted to have you join us today, and we're continuing our series interviewing the Golden Hoodie winners around the globe. This week, we're delighted to have John Lay with us, who's actually the second person to win a Golden Hoodie in the world, back at Dreamforce 2017. And I've just had a sneak peek into his story, which is really fascinating. It's always so curious, like the secret stories that we don't really know about these Golden Hoodie winners quite a lot of the time. So I'm delighted to invite John to be here today. Thank you, John. I know you're traveling at the moment, but really appreciate you having us. Be great if you could just share with everybody a little bit about your backstory and how you got to get that Golden Hoodie on stage. So I'll hand over to you and you can take it straight away.
Well, great, sure. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here and proud to be a part of the podcast. So, my Golden Hoodie story started many years ago when I was trying to consolidate customer data for a large U.S. retail and dealership organization here in the States. And I had been trying to consolidate many databases over a long time to improve operational efficiency and data visibility at the organization. The company was known as Camping World and Good Sam here in the US. And for those of you who don't know, Camping World has a retail branch, which is like, most big box retailers. People walk in and buy stuff off the shelf. The Good Sam organization, which sells services like roadside assistance, part of their, and they also have a membership organization, which is used by the retail organization to provide pricing discounts. And then the third branch of the organization is an RV dealership group. And all three have the common theme of servicing customers in the outdoor space. And the huge thing is their consolidated customer database. At that time, they had over 2 million members in the database and were, looking to market to those in three main different ways, right? Selling RVs, selling services, and then, of course, selling products. Very different techniques. I had tried to bring in Salesforce, but due to budgetary constraints, I never got it approved. So I was trying to build a CRM off of an Oracle ERP database, and it was proving to be very difficult and time consuming. At that time, there were 10 different operational systems in play, each
Wow.
owning trying to own the customer. But of course, the marketing organization, while they still had a group for each of the divisions, was trying to look at that consolidated customer and market to them as, as individuals. So trying to solve that problem and just it was really growing and data integration, data quality was paramount. So through some luck, through basically the CEO who had a friend who had moved from Cisco over to Salesforce, and he wanted to give him a hand and said, "Hey, John, can you find some small license starting point with Salesforce and get started?" And I said, "Yep, I know exactly what to do. Give me 50 seats of Service Cloud. I can solve the problem I've got with customer service. I can build the database, and we can start small and grow. And so that's what we did. We purchased 50 seats, headed to Dreamforce back probably 2013 or so, and drank the Kool-Aid, had a wonderful time, and came back and started implementing Service Cloud. Well, we didn't get 3 months down the road. We had implemented Service Cloud, basically had people using it and showing success, when the CEO, who was a serial entrepreneur, had other companies as well that he'd been working with, had some knowledge of Salesforce. He goes, "Whoop, John, you can't just do Service Cloud. We need Sales Cloud too, because I've got this sales organization that is selling RVs. They're struggling with multiple systems and having to bounce through multiple screens to conduct a sale and service the customers. You've got to give them something." And Salesforce is it. So we didn't necessarily stop what we did on Service Cloud, but we had to now start a new project to implement Sales Cloud. So off we go. And we did that. We had them up on Sales Cloud, not just Sales Cloud, but some customizations around Sales Cloud to give them that consolidated view and get them out of multiple systems to be able to work the sale and work with their customers, and had that up in probably under 6 months. All of that, plus I had to take my knowledge from zero up to fully running to implement a Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, then Sales Cloud, on my own. I You did some classroom training, but, that was just time consuming. You have to schedule those and work them in. So I was constantly digging through all of the online training that was available for Salesforce, digging into the community. Of course, when I went to Dreamforce, I had met a lot of folks. It was an interesting Dreamforce. It rained. Doesn't always rain in San Francisco, but when it does, it's a mess and traffic's a mess. So I spent a lot of time on the buses there at Dreamforce, and I would, sit, grab a seat next to someone and say, "Hey, tell me your Salesforce story. Tell me what problems you've had and how you've been solving them. How did you get started?"
I like the
And
accent.
grabbed a lot of information, right? So I made a lot of contacts. I found out how people were connecting online, and dove right into that, became a part of that community, s- and not just gathered knowledge from them to help me bootstrap, but then I started, sharing my experiences. So all of that's those steps that I did, and brought myself up, bootstrapped into Salesforce, plus tying myself into the community. Those were all things that through the years Salesforce was watching, and our success team, we had a great success team with Salesforce, and our sales team, wonderful support from them. They said, "All right, we're doing this golden hoodie thing. We've got somebody that you need to recognize," and they nominated me, and I get recognized. Well, it was a surprise. I didn't know what a golden hoodie was. Like I said, you said it was the second one, so I hadn't really been paying much attention. And they said, "Hey, John, we want you to come tell your story on the Service Cloud keynote on the main stage there." And I'm like, "Wow, yes, I'll be happy to." But I was a little bit shocked and in awe. But yeah, hey, stranger things happen, so I'll be happy to do it. I was also able to get approval to bring several of the team that I had built around me at Camping World, and gave them front row seats. So it was really a big honor. And so when I come out and do my little tell thy story and share that with folks, and then next thing, here comes this shiny object. And not only was the good golden hoodie, but also they gave me a medallion that said that I had represented Salesforce core values. And that was quite an honor.
Oh, that's amazing. I love how it brings a smile back to your face as well, because it's that special moment, isn't it?
It is. It was
It's
great
definitely the
recognition.
highlight in life, isn't it, when you get the golden hoodie? And the
Yes.
burning question, like, did you end up replacing or integrating all those other 14 systems?
So we, of course, in the beginning, everything was integration. And over time, there were a few replacements.
Yeah. So you learnt an incredible amount in such a short space of time. What a great
Yes.
experience. And amazing to have a CEO that backs it as well. Obviously, initially you didn't have that level of exec sponsorship because he probably wasn't aware of it, but to have that makes a massive difference, doesn't it, when
Oh,
you're
it made a huge difference. Yes.
yeah, well done for doing it so quick.
Yeah, I think what resonated with me is communication is absolutely the key, isn't it? It's getting out there, asking other people, gaining all of their knowledge, and then you can share it with others. But I think I love a story. Anybody that knows me knows I love a story. I would love to know what the John looks like prior to this. What actually got you into this industry?
So, what got me into this industry was a lifelong journey, basically. When I was in high school, I was going to be a veterinarian.
Bit different to that.
It was, right? So I grew up in a small town on a small farm in Tennessee, and we always had animals. So I thought, well, that's just an automatic for me. Well, I go from small town high school to big city university and fell into the trap that a lot of young people do and didn't do well with my studies. So I'm like, wait a minute, I've got to take a pause here, do a reset. I realized that was too big, too much for me. I'm going to go to a community college and started taking some basic courses. I thought, accounting seems good. I like math. I like those kind of things. And one of the requirements was this thing called data processing. You see the gray hair. I've been around for many years. This was back in the late '70s, early '80s, prior to the PC
Bored,
even.
no?
And they said, "Take this data processing course," and I did, and somewhere between learning card keys and databases, it just clicked with me, and I found something that I really liked and I really understood and could dive into. So I get my associate. I transfer back into university to continue with a bachelor's in the computer science, and the whole thing just picked up and data began I began to focus on databases and data. And then as I got started and moving through different organizations and different focuses, began to see that customer data is really where I shine and what I like. And so that's what led me through ultimately through a lot of different jumps and changes into to Salesforce, right? And to customer data. I look back at the different courses, the different things that I've studied and see the progression of computer technology and information technology and see a lot of those things that were promised to me in that intro to data processing here are now really they've always been incrementally growing, but the changes that we've seen lately, and especially around Salesforce and its platform, are really coming to fruition, and it's always kept me excited.
I can see that. I can see your face. As Heather said, you can see your face light up. And I think it's that same old saying that they say, if you can dream it, you can do it. Find
Yes.
something you're passionate about and just keep learning. I think life is all about learning, isn't it? For sure.
It is.
Excellent.
Always be learning.
I love the story. Thank you for sharing.
So what are you doing now, John, since that big story and you obviously that sort of working at Camping World, where have you progressed to with that as a next step?
So where I've progressed is basically I've retired from Camping World, but wasn't ready to retire from work life. So I joined Alternative Solutions, which is a smaller, more boutique type consulting organization for CRMs. And our primary system of choice that we consult is, of course, Salesforce. We're a Salesforce partner, but we also consult with other applications. Like right now, I had a call this morning working with a client that's working with Microsoft Dynamics, and we're building custom solutions for them on that and that CRM. But that's another interesting story. So I had been using Salesforce and their consulting arm to help me at Camping World and build one of those custom applications we were talking about for the sales organization when the timing wasn't working out to the happiness of the organization. And we had just had a meeting where I had gotten more excuses than solution from the team. And so I wasn't real happy, and I was flying back to Nashville when this lady taps me on the shoulder because I was wearing a lot of Salesforce. I had a Salesforce backpack and a hoodie, and this lady says, "Hey, do you work for Salesforce?" And I'm like, "No, I just spend way too much money with them." And
That's really good
she's
to know.
like, "Well, my husband has this consulting organization. I'm sure he would like to get to know you." And I'm just kind of rolling my eyes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard this before. But she didn't let me get away with that. So before the flight ended, I had his card, and probably within 7 days, we had had a meeting, and I had brought the alternative solutions team on board to help me at Camping World. And
Bet she got
so
brownie points as a wife, didn't she?
Yeah, definitely.
yes. And so we used them pretty much right up until the time I left. And when I went through the retirement and thought, well, you know what? I'm not ready to stop. Tom and I had a conversation, and now I'm part of the organization and leading their practice, and I'm their primary CRM architect.
The power of swag. We always say that, Heather.
Yes,
We would
Yeah.
go out
Yeah.
proudly wearing our swag, and you always get stopped and asked questions. Again, it comes back to that communication, doesn't it, for sure?
that's right.
Yeah. So I have to say, being in an organization that's more than just Salesforce, like Microsoft and everything else, I mean, I struggle to keep up with Salesforce right now and the whole obviously AI revolution.
Yep.
So God knows how you like then sort of translate that into like maintaining updates and knowledge on different platforms. So what's your whole take on AI and keeping up with things? And certainly if you're, not just focused on Salesforce, like the breadth of tools,
Yep.
what's your whole perspective on that and how you're coping?
So again, back to that progression I talked about, where we're back there in 80, they were telling us how wonderful things were going to be and how what information technology was going to bring to all of us. AI is just a continuation on that line. And I love using AI. I do use AI. I'm not afraid of it. But I always look at it and remind others AI is that junior person you just brought in.
Totally.
It's a great resource, it's a great tool, but don't leave it alone, right? It's only going to be as good as the information you feed it and the direction you give it. And like a junior developer or a junior analyst or a junior program manager, as that senior leader, you're going to give them great guardrails and watch and monitor their work because ultimately, I'm still responsible for that output. But yes, I enjoy Salesforce. Excuse me, I enjoy alternate AI and using it. It helps me be more productive and move faster, but I have to be careful not to move too fast.
I think you're so right. I mean, time saving is absolutely what a lot of people use it for. Is there any particular tools that you recommend? What have you found that you've really found beneficial in terms of AI?
So we'll start with kind of the simpler stuff. Otter AI is what I enjoy using for meetings, and both meetings that I can invite it to or recordings that I can do. but I also will take recordings or give it information after recordings and let it use it. I also am a strong user of ChatGPT. I have it installed on mobile devices, laptops, and of course use the web version too. But I I really have invested a lot in it. I don't like to jump tools too much because of the investment I make in it, right? And AI is one of those things you need to make an investment in and train it to your voice and to your projects. So I use the folders and the project functionality in it and keep everything organized and pump it full of a lot of information around each project, keep them separate so that I'm not sharing data unnecessarily, but walking it through. And I also take the time to go back every so often and go through the training process to make sure it's staying with the voice I want it to have. And as it goes through upgrades, I try to learn those new pieces and utilize them.
Excellent. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah, Lynn's your new best friend. ChatGPT is her best friend as well.
I don't know how I
Yes.
lived before without ChatGPT. I really don't.
The one other thing to mention is I do like Vibe. I've been using Salesforce Agentforce Vibe in Visual Studio for developing, but especially with the new pricing model that Salesforce is coming out, I've been using more ChatGPT to do my basic design and get started, come up with something in ChatGPT and then say, ask it to, all right, now give me a prompt that I can take over to Salesforce or Agentforce Vibe and have it do work. It has more access to my metadata and all of that stuff that it needs so that it can go and write the code right. But I let ChatGPT build up my prompts and give it specifics.
Well, that's a great tip. Thank you. And in terms of vibe, what are you building with that? And are we talking basic objects or more complexity, like code, like more event
Yes.
happening components? What are you doing with it?
Yes. A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I tend to be a little bit more on the building side, just because I'm a builder. And but I will use it to build up that initial framework and give me something to start with and then dive into it and make it real.
I feel like there's another webinar coming up after this one. Sequel 2, John gives us the breakdown, step-by-step approach to vibe.
I
Just
do that too.
That sounds
Absolutely.
fun.
Yeah, we're very keen on that, and I think it's great to kind of encourage and support, the admins of today learn those basics and step into it
Yes.
because it gets the work done quicker. And I think there's that invisible line of it's something else to learn. How do I do it? Learn the basics. And I really liked how you just explained about, use the LLM initially to help you with the prompts and move that through. And I think,
Yes.
as supermoms, we're very passionate about creating those foundational steps. You've got the foundational knowledge, great, but then in this AI era, how do we make them AI first admins and BAs and consultants?
That's right.
Like
Yep.
that. So we'd definitely love to invite you back, John. Probably not a podcast version. We want your laptop out. We want to see what you're doing. We're definitely going to recruit you for a future masterclass when you've got time.
Okay.
But it's been a pleasure having you here today. Thank you for such an inspirational story and, what a great journey you've been on since 2017. You've learned so much and it's great you're still in the weeds learning. I just don't think we're going to stop learning
Always.
these days. There's so
Yes.
much to do, isn't there?
Completely.
Yeah. Always something new,
Yeah.
which is really what keeps me passionate about IT, right? It's always changing, always growing. And while we may take a step back every once in a while, I always do think we're always improving.
It's funny, isn't it? We roll our eyes like another new thing this week.
That's right.
Meanwhile, we're like, oh, so what is that again? You're right.
Yes.
Like we will get bored if it was always the same. So there's always a silver lining, even though we like to probably moan sometimes that it's,
Oh, yeah.
advancing so quickly. But thank you again. Thank you, Lynn, for being with us today. Thank you to all the listeners for being with us. And we look forward to sharing the next story with you very soon. But have a good day. Thank you again, John, once again.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me. I've enjoyed it. Bye.
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 Thank you for listening to the Mums on Cloud 9 podcast today. We're delighted to have you here and we can't wait to help you have a career in life that you love. We launched the podcast because we wanted to help women get insight into inspirational stories, advice, and experts from people around the world. Over the last few years, we've spoken to many people who've shared insights, and we want you to learn and to benefit from this to accelerate your own career. Please do share the podcast show and what we do at Supermums with anybody else you know who you feel could benefit too. We want to say thank you once again for joining us, and please do let us know how you get on and what you go on to achieve after listening to the show today.